People.
Hello, KZOOMers.
Yay.
So happy to see you. Missed you last week because I was on the river, and there's a couple people here who are on the river with me. But you're saying, it says Heather, why don't you, but this is Judith, right? You're going to change your name to be your name? And Judy was
Judy
there.
Brown.
I don't know if there's any other river rats here. We had an epic journey, and we missed you, and we survived.
Barely. It sounds like.
But pretty.
In a couple of spots.
But pretty wonderful. Now I'm adjusting to what we call civilization. not an easy adjustment for me.
Yeah.
But seeing your faces really helps.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to just look around the Zoom room. We connect with each other. If you can show your face, show your face. And I see Sabrina is here from over the hills here. And people here from, a few people from Australia who are early tomorrow. And we
All
are
right.
so yesterday to them.
Oh, I was wishing I could hear the sound of the bowl when you were playing it, Tony.
So this is an amazing week for Love at the Center, because we come to a practice that there is, sometimes when things repeat in Torah, they repeat because it's like you resist them the first time and maybe the second time, but the third time you just sort of surrender and say, okay, already, okay. And so this line that we're going to begin with, this practice I call timing, really, I think I resisted it because having a sense of timing, there's the prerequisite that you have cultivated some patience.
Oh, darn. There's a catch.
And it seems like patience is something that is earned over a long period of time. And with patience comes perspective, and with perspective comes a kind of a wisdom of the about the unfolding, about the awakening, about the process of emerging that we're all in. We are all souls that are, sort of having this human adventure and finding our way back to our soulhood, really. And and it's a process, and it's a process that unfolds in its time, and you can't rush it, and you really can't, I think, even slow it down. It is happening. But what we can do is bring awareness and appreciation and a kind of attunement to what that process is. And so the lovers in the Song of Song, the lover in the Song of Songs turns to her companions on the Zoom screen and says, "Daughters of Jerusalem, swear to me that you will not awaken love until it is ripe, until the time is right, until the will is there, until, it's like, will you acknowledge and honor a process that is happening?" And the first two times that this sacred phrase appears, there's a little bit of different tone to it. It says im ta'iru, im ta'oru, which means like, oh, don't awaken love yet. There's a little bit of anxiety there with it. No, don't. And then the third time it says ma ta'iru. And it's translated the same way in most places, but it has a different tone to it. Mm-hmm. And the tone to it, ma is like what? Like ma is kind of like what is. I have this just a little teaching from Virginia Satir that says life is not what it's supposed to be, it's what it is. The way you cope with it is what makes the difference. The way that you respond, and so the sense of this is what is means that there is an acknowledgement that there is an unfolding, an emerging, an awakening happening. It's not if, it's when. There's a sense that like it is already happening now. Where do I find myself in the process of transformation, of awakening. And I'll just bring this one other teaching that I liked about this process of transmutation that we are in. It says, this is from Malah, who says, grapes must be crushed to make wine, diamonds form under pressure, olives are pressed to release oil, seeds grow in darkness. Whenever you feel crushed, under pressure, pressed, or in darkness, you're in a powerful place of transformation, transmutation.
Oh boy, that's good.
Yeah, but it to know that it's not whatever you feel in that place of crushedness, it's not a static thing. We are in a process. We are in a birthing, and it is happening in its time. And there are the three main places that I learn about timing. Is one in the process of birth, and witnessing someone who is in labor, in giving birth, and knowing, sort of being able to know that this process is happening, whether, and sometimes people say, well, no, I'd like to stop this right now. Like, I don't want to go any further, sorry, it is happening. It is happening. So that process of birth is happening, but it's happening in its own time. And as a midwife, I want to attune myself to that timing, but I'm not going to be like the doctor that says, like, oh, I have a golf game, I'm going to give you a little bit of Pitocin here.
Speed things up.
Speed things up. It's like trusting the body, trusting the process, honoring that process of birth. The other place where I learned so much about timing is in witnessing death, because in working with people who are dying, there is such a mystery to the timing of death. And sometimes I think, okay, it should happen already, It's like, what are you waiting for? But it's such a place of surrender, of not knowing, not understanding the timing, and all we can do is kind of just attune ourselves to a process and trust in that process. So all of the practices this morning, are really about that art of trusting in the process, of knowing that we're in a process, of having the wisdom to kind of be attuned and aligned with the process so that we don't freak out.
Yeah.
So, and then we know how to be allies, for each other. I said the third place where I learn about timing is in the practice of spiritual direction that I do with people. I feel like often there's wisdom that comes to me in that relationship. But the real wisdom is in knowing the time, what the right timing is, of when someone can hear what that is, and that's come to me over a long period of messing up.
Yeah, that's how you learn.
That's how you learn. That's the only way you learn.
That's true.
So let's enter into the mystery of these words. Mata iru, mata oradu. And you can just bring that wisdom to wherever you are in that process. Mata iru, mata oradu.
et
invite you to close your eyes and feel where you are in this process of awakening, of transformation. And accepting exactly where you are, exactly what is. And then leaning into your trust in the process. Just opening up to a kind of the momentum of growth that is in you. That sensing the movement in your soul. And I think that if you want to open your eyes, you can sort of see it reflected in each other's faces, that a lot of us have been together for a year and a half.
Plus.
Plus. We can sort of sense that what we've been through is moving us to a kind of a spiritual maturity that, when we see it in each other, we can find it in ourselves as well. So this time of Elul is really a time of really paying attention to that process of spiritual maturity, and really, there's a Psalm 27 is kind of assigned to the month of Elul as helping us in that process of spiritual maturity. So I wanted to bring this practice that I called reparenting to our process, and to be able to step back and notice that we're on this journey, and what is the journey really of spiritual development. And so this line has in it a kind of a 3-step process of spiritual development. And the first step is the acknowledgement of some of the places of hurt and disappointment, where we put our trust in something that is not, it's so reliable. And it's not so reliable not because there's any evil in it, but it's because it's an earlier stage of development that we're leaving. So I think of when I'm working with people, it's like I sometimes feel like okay, how long will you be blaming your parents? Kind of, when do you move on to take responsibility for who you are becoming? And or when, actually, it's not only your parents. This is when we say our father and our mother have abandoned us. It's almost like saying there is an old paradigm that also doesn't quite work, and it is the one that keeps us as spiritual children, or a place of childishness, a place of not responsibility. And we are so when we lose that kind of thing that we thought was going to hold us, we go to the second stage, was to open up to a much larger holding. It's like, when these parents or this structure abandons us, then we're lost. And the process is then opening up to the sense that we have been held by a much larger mystery, even all this time. And we want to then surrender to that larger mystery and be gathered up into the arms of that mystery. And so that's the second stage in the spiritual development. And then the third stage says, Horayni Yah, darkecha. And that's when we can sort of sense the path in front of us, and the path that exists, I mean, not just in one direction, but in every direction, that we are, with the trust that we are guided, and all we need to do is take the first step, and that's kind of what the process of awakening entails. We have to take the first step, even if we don't know what the second step is going to be. And so it's like moving from the inertia, from the grief of losing what was so sure to us, opening up to that mystery, surrendering into the unknown, into the arms of, what holds us, and then opening up to the spirit of guidance and allowing ourselves to be moved. So I like to chant this and do some movement with it because I feel like it kind of helps me to really feel that movement within me. So if you feel like getting up and following these movements, you're welcome to do that. So so the first, I'm going to see if you can maybe move. Well, it's okay. Yeah. Okay. So we are moving through those stages of development, and the first is really acknowledging this kind of place of grief, of losing the old paradigm, the old structures, something that we counted on that is now, sort of like in our past, and we have to say, Ki avi ve'imi azvuni, Ki avi stage, opening up to this wider reality. Being gathered in. And the third stage, opening up the crown, feeling like that there is guidance that is pouring in and moving us on our path. Horayni Yah, darkecha.
Horayni Yah, darkecha. Horayni Yah, darkecha. Horayni Yah, darkecha.
So that third phase is a kind of a willingness to go and take the first step in every direction we need to go. So we come back to that place of grief again, place of loss. Ki avi ve'imi azvuni, Ki avi Gathered in. Opening to guidance.
Horayni Yah, darkecha. Horayni Yah, darkecha. Horayni Yah, darkecha. Horayni Yah, darkecha.
And pause for just a moment and find again that place of grief for what has been and what you're letting go of. Feel in you the willingness to be guided, to enter in fully with all of your heart into this process.
Horayni Yah, darkecha. Horayni Yah, darkecha. Horayni Yah, darkecha. Horayni Yah, darkecha.
So the wisdom of love tells us not only where this path of unfolding is leading us, but it also shows us what's done. You know, it's like some ways that we've defined ourselves are, you know, we've already done it. We want to be able to acknowledge those completions. And Judith on the river, remember the pruning that we did for you, right? That sense of like, oh, clearing away what's done and gone, and opening so that there's room, there's space for that unfolding to happen. And it's some of, I grow flowers in my little garden, and some of the hardest part of it is like the deadheading of like realizing the flower is already flowered, and I actually need to cut the flower down to make so that there's energy for new flowers, you know.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, I don't want you to go, Zinnia. some of the lessons of timing, and so I wanted to bring these words that I call this practice divine congratulations. And it says like, oh, you're done, you're finished, your service you have been fulfilled in this part of your life, and and before you can move on, or or maybe like in order to move on, you have to receive that divine congratulations, that like, oh, you did this, you opened to that stage of life, you learned its lessons, and maybe you even teach or radiate that wisdom now, and that moment of divine congratulations, of really receiving it, is what frees you to then move on to this next place of renewal in your lives, which Rosh Hashanah represents. So, so I wanted just to ask you, and maybe if you wanted to put in the chat, is there a completion that that you feel like, oh, I learned something that from, let's just that maybe you want to so let's see, separate myself from a demanding from my relative, my dream graduation ceremony.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. First round of love at the center. Yeah. Like this, like acknowledging these completions is really honoring the end of a 40-year spiritual practice, and opening to a new relationship with my soul and spirit, completing a pilgrimage. Yeah. Forgiving a sibling, mastering better boundaries, watching our children launched, letting go of a feeling of failure, stop needing my sister to be different, knowing that I'm a teacher.
We do understand, though.
Yes,
that's hard. Bless your heart.
Yes. So, it's like I want to take that moment of stopping, receiving the divine congratulations, hearing God say that in this time, your service is fulfilled, and when you do that, you are freed up to then step in with joy to the next time, this next place in your life, with not carrying around any baggage. Oh, you have Janice, you have a zinnia. Right. So taking that first step. So let us rest on our zinnias. Open up to the joy of that sense of completion that is towards the end of the year. And there's 3 parts of this chant. So Rachmil will do the first part. You can join him, and then I'm going to do the second part, and sometimes I'll do the third part. So you can chant whatever you want. But the idea is placing on the altar of the chant this sense of divine congratulations, really receiving it, really stepping into this place of celebration and gleaning the lessons, really articulating what you learned from this past time, maybe this past year, that you want to then refine and take into the next year.
Janice, that's a picture of your zinnia. Malah, tz'va'ah, Malah, tz'va'ah, Malah, tz'va'ah, tz'va'ah. Ki Malah tz'va'ah. Ki Malah tz'va'ah. Ki Malah tz'va'ah.
Take in that divine congratulations. Feel the fullness of life as it's moving through you. Knowing that in this moment of holy process, you can look back and see what has brought you to this moment of completion. Glean the lessons, find the seeds of wisdom, plant them inside you for this next year that's coming. And this next year that's coming, we want to be we want to be awake for it. We want to be able to be all the forces inside us mobilized for what's coming next. And,
And out of the narrow places comes a great sound, we hope.
Wow. So we're all awake to be able to discern this place of wisdom, of the cycles of time that we are moving in. So I want to do one more practice, which for me is so much about trusting the process. And it is, I call this practice, Oh, Wondrous Healer. And it was inspired by this is a line in the morning liturgy, and Rofay called basar, umaflee, and it was inspired by by the translation that is in the Reconstructionists' Siddur prayer book. And it was a translation that seemed to be like an invocation, calling forth of God's presence in a certain form. And the way that it was translated was, Oh, wondrous healer of all flesh. So to say, Oh, wondrous healer of all flesh, acknowledges that there is this great wisdom in the body, and that wisdom is God. That wisdom in our own bodies is God, and it is God unfolding as a process of healing, and it's miraculous when it happens. It doesn't always happen, but when it happens, it is so miraculous.
Yeah.
And I'll just tell you that when I went on this river trip, which was harrowing and like a dangerous adventure and a crazy journey with storms and just like and flash floods and everything we didn't expect. And then I came back to my hotel room in Moab, Utah, and I thought, I'm going to go out to the pool now to relax. And I walked to the pool, and there was a tile that was broken and was up like this, and I walked into it and sliced my toe
Big chunk of toe
in half. And
oh, bless your heart.
and it was like, and then there was blood everywhere, and I trailed that blood across the whole patio. And I sat there, thinking like, how ironic. I am like a master of irony.
Not a scratch the whole week when all this perils and going to the pool.
And so in these last few days, so I called in all of my angels of healing, and I had, Rhonda is a daughter of a podiatrist, so she was fixing me up, and the hotel comped my room and gave me a wonderful Snickers ice cream bar, which was all very healing,
Yes,
But in the last few days, I've been experiencing the wondrous, miraculous healing power of God's wisdom in my body, mending together these two parts of my toe. And I am in, standing in awe, in joyful awe that can happen. It's like,
Yeah.
after seeing it, and being like, what? And then feeling like a few days later, it's like, oh,
It's already weaving
it's
itself.
weaving itself together into one toe. So I want to celebrate that wisdom that is in me. That's something I couldn't have dreamt up. And say, oh, wondrous healer of all flesh. We are all in a process of healing, even when that healing brings us to leave our bodies. We are still in the process of healing, and we want to invoke it, celebrate it, align ourselves with it, be instruments of it. So let's invoke. And this is a two-part round. So we'll go through it a couple times first.
Rofay kol basar, Rofay kol basar, Rofay kol basar, umaflee la'asor. Rofay kol basar, Rofay kol basar, Rofay kol basar, umaflee la'asor. Rofay kol basar, Rofay kol basar, Rofay kol basar, umaflee la'asor. Rofay kol basar, Rofay kol basar, Rofay kol basar, umaflee la'asor. Rofay kol basar, Rofay kol basar, Rofay kol basar, umaflee la'asor. Rofay kol basar, Rofay kol basar, Rofay kol basar, umaflee la'asor. Rofay kol basar, Rofay kol basar, Rofay kol basar, umaflee la'asor. Rofay kol basar, Rofay kol basar, Rofay kol basar, umaflee la'asor. Rofay kol basar, Rofay kol basar, Rofay kol basar, umaflee la'asor. Rofay kol basar, Rofay kol basar, Rofay kol basar, umaflee la'asor. Rofay kol basar, Rofay kol basar, Rofay kol basar, umaflee la'asor.
So we step back in awe of this process of awakening, a process of emerging, unfolding, transforming, And what I always want to say about any kind of hardship in my life and in the world, I don't say, oh, it happens for a reason, but I do say, whatever happens, I want to use it for my awakening. Whatever happens, whether it's good, whether it's bad, it's all this kind of grist for the mill. It's all the raw material for our spiritual work that we want to then not resist but receive fully, and be able to sort of take what we've learned and
use it,
and transform it and shape it into this sense of being a healing presence in the world through whatever we go through. So timing, and on my invitations to KZOOM, I always say, come on time, which means come a little bit early, because that's really how, so I want just a reminder of that, to come a little bit early so that we can really shape kind of a vehicle for our transformation. So, and it feels like the first part of it is really the part where all the framing happens. So, just a reminder. And a reminder to go to the website, give a little donation in honor of what you are learning, so that we can keep on doing this, and also gratefulness for those who have donated, and it's so encouraging. And we will be meeting next Thursday for KZOOM Friday for the Australians. Thursday,
September 2nd.
And it's September 2nd. It's our wedding anniversary.
Our 20th wedding anniversary.
20th wedding anniversary. And we decided to spend it with you.
With you. I mean, well, can you think of a better thing to do? No, at least for part of it.
So we want to.
Yeah, thank you.
Celebrate that with you, and we're going to have a celebration also. Alone before that, And so this process of Elul that we're in, I thought that in our, for those who want to stay in a breakout group, it would be nice